Hello everyone, and yes, it definitely would be a crime not to show this game, as someone conveniently posted on the previous video. I was following this game live and I knew that it will be definitely shown, so no worries there, as it features not only such exciting players like Alireza and Nodirbek Yakubboev, but also one of my favorite lines altogether, aside, besides the Evans Gambit. So yeah, let's check it out. Alireza versus Nodirbek Yakubboev. Alireza opens with pawn to e4, and then for real we will show the standings. We have pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and the bishop to c4. And now, of course, not my number one, but knight to f6, and here knight to g5. So no boring modern bishops opening, knight to g5. This is the knight attack, and here every point counts if you want to be in the candidates tournament. So of course Alireza goes for knight g5. He goes after the f7 pawn, and pawn to d5. This is nowadays standard, as it's the only move that you can play. Sometimes in bullet and blitz you will see bishop to c5, but d5 is the only move that can actually be played here. 200 years ago, people avoided going into this altogether with the black pieces because they thought it was just lost for black. But d5 is perfectly fine. We have e captures on d5, and now knight to a5, going after the bishop. Also, in olden days, knight captures on d5 was pretty much seen all the time, and then white would sacrifice on f7, king captures, queen f3 check, and then if you really wanted to play this, you had to go to e6. And even I have a book, by Borislav Ivkov. It was sort of a book for teaching chess in Belgrade, and it says that you can play this with black, but it's very complicated, and you have to go to e6 with the king. But if you want, you can play it. Nowadays, I don't think it's considered to be all that safe, and especially at lower levels, you will see players just go king g8, and then you can capture and deliver this beautiful bishop checkmate. So yeah, it's definitely something to try out. But in the professional level, knight to a5, attacking the bishop, bishop b5 check, c6 captures, and captures on c6. And now there are a couple of ways you could play this. Bishop to e2 is the most played line. Bishop to d3 is sort of the engine line, as modern engines say that bishop to d3 is stronger than bishop to e2. So you will see people playing bishop to d3 more and more. And also there's this queen to f3 line, which is kind of the third most popular option, that can be met with some interesting moves, like even queen to d5. You have to be ready for that if you play this line. But more often than not, you'll see something like rook b8, and then it's not easy to play this with white, because look at this, you can even capture on c6. And now if you actually play this with black, you just have to remember not to block this with the bishop. Otherwise, queen to c4, and you will have problems. But if you block with the knight, you don't have any problems, as now there's no queen c4, the knight on g5 is hanging, and if d3, bishop e7, you castle, and you have all of this development, and white is just busy strolling the queen around. But after queen f3, we have c captures on b5. This is like the 7th or 9th most popular continuation that really no one really plays at the top level. But it is what Nodirbek prepared for Alireza, and be mindful of the clock times, because these guys are prepared like you wouldn't believe. Alireza just grabs the rook, queen captures on a8, of course he knows the line, queen to c7, now threatening knight to c6 to defend the pawn, and then bishop b7. Not right away, as the bishop cannot move, but bishop e7 castles, and then bishop b7. So there is some potential of trapping the white queen. So Alireza just brings it back. Queen f3, knight back to c6, now threatening knight d4, which you could easily blunder. Let's say you castle, some pawn h6, knight e4, and then knight to d4. You can just resign this as white. The queen has to move, or you can trade here, captures, captures, and captures. But now rook g8, bishop coming to b7, the knight can capture on c2, go after the rook, knight e2 check is coming. So this is dead lost. Also bishop to h3. Black can choose how black wants to win this. So after knight to c6, pawn to c3. Of course, Alireza will not allow that knight to enter the game. Bishop to g4. Again, look at the clock times. Everything is blitzed out. We have queen to g3. Knight to d4. Also theory, still theory. You cannot capture due to checkmate on queen captures on c1. So knight to a3, and now knight to e2, attacking the queen. Again, still all theory. We have queen to e3. Here, queen to d3 is even more played. Queen to e3, there is only one game in the database, and that game continues with knight a4. It was played last year in Qatar Masters. But here we have bishop captures on a3, and it is now as of move 14 that we have a completely new game, and this is where Nodirbek actually burns some time on the clock. So, okay, Alireza captures back. He doesn't need to calculate because he's down a piece. We have knight 4. Going for knight captures on g2, which would fork the king and queen, and Alireza just castles kingside. We have knight 6 to d5, going after the queen, queen e4, and pawn to f5. So Nodirbek has to deliver something here, because if Alireza gets to activate his pieces, then he's just going to be up material. We have queen back to b1, and now pawn to h6, chasing away the knight. And if the knight moves, or even if, let's say, you go queen captures on b5 check, then the idea is just to play king e7 and get another tempo on the queen, and black would have all of this development, all of the pieces developed, where white would just feel silly, playing with the queen while all of the forces are still on the back rank. But here Alireza finds this beautiful knight to e6 move, and this sort of ruins Nodirbek's plans, because what is he to do now? Well, best would be to ignore the knight, but, not in a way to leave your queen on c7. To play queen to c6, that would be best. And then after, let's say, f3, now you capture on e6, and after f captures on g4, you castle to safety. And, okay, that's perfectly fine. Something like d3 has to be played. You allow knight captures on c3, queen c2, and now pawn to f4. It looks really ugly for white, but after bishop to b2, rook ac1, I mean, this is coming alive for white, and you're actually perfectly fine, if not better. But after knight e6, knight captures on e6 was played, and now Alireza plays queen captures on b5 check and nicely connects with the knight. We have king to e7, queen captures on d5, and now knight to f4. Still hoping for something to happen, but the position is not bad for Nodirbek in any way. This is still a perfectly fine position. But, if Alireza develops, then he's just worse. We have queen to b3, and now rook to b8, attacking the queen, and once again queen to c2. So it seems that Alireza is trying to break some sort of a record for, most consecutive moves with the queen, but he's actually playing all of the top moves recommended by the engine. And here Nodirbek really gives some problems for Alireza. He plays bishop to f3. And it's not easy to calculate this. And just as you guys are already here, I will show you another fun line. Not bishop f3, but sacrifice right away. Knight captures on g2. They're both fine, and neither is better for black. It's just it's really nice, because after king captures on g2, you play queen c4. And it's really difficult to get out of this with white, because bishop h3 check is coming, then queen captures on f1, and you really don't have all that many great moves that help you here. You have to play pawn to d4 and just allow that. If you play pawn to d3 to prevent queen captures on f1, then still bishop to h3. And you cannot capture because of queen to g4 checkmate. So you would have to go to h1, and now look at this, queen d5 check, pawn to f3, bishop captures on f1, and now there's nothing better than bishop to g5 check, h captures and rook captures on f1. I mean, this is just madness, but it is black to be preferred here, even though black's king is also on the open board. But yeah, the white king is a little bit weaker, so probably we prefer black here, even though black is down a pawn. But after queen to c2, not the immediate knight captures on g2, bishop to f3 was played, and now what do you play? Well, unlike the knight, the bishop cannot be captured, or rather, the knight wasn't captured, the knight was sacrificed in that line. That never happened. But here, if you capture the bishop, then queen c6. And there's really no defense against queen g6 followed by checkmate, or even just queen captures followed by checkmate. And you really have nothing better. You have to go for queen captures on f5 to stop queen g6, but then queen captures on f3, and you can even capture on e5, but it doesn't matter. King to f7, queen f5 check, king g8, no more checks, the knight covers e6, and next you just deliver checkmate. There is nothing a white can do here. So yeah, after bishop to f3, pawn to d4 immediately by Alireza. It is the only move that keeps the game level. Knight to e2 check, we have king to h1, and now queen to c6, putting pressure on that g2 pawn. And there is only one move that doesn't lose the game for Alireza. What would you play here in this position? While I give you a couple of seconds. The game is extremely tactical, and I will give you... Sorry about that. I will give you a couple of pause the video moments here, because this is just beautiful. Rook g1, only move. And now the idea is that if knight captures on g1, which is the best move, but only if you want a draw, and no one wants a draw in this tournament. Then you go queen captures on f5, and you don't have to worry about captures on g2, because now if captures, you just capture back. King captures on g1. And now if bishop to h1, threatening checkmate, now you can capture on e5, king f7, and now you even go queen f4 check, because if the king goes to the back rank, you captured the rook with check. So king has to go to g6, and now you give a check, cover the g2 square, and after the king moves, you develop, and now it's even white, who is playing for the win here. So yeah, after rook g1, we have rook to f8, trying to get a little bit more than a draw, but now Alireza is completely winning, and he doesn't find it entirely, but you guys will. Have at it. While I give you a couple of seconds, win this game for Alireza. Believe it or not, it's pawn to d5. And it's, again, not the first move that comes to mind, because you have to see the other move, which is also not the first move or even the 20th move that comes to mind. Chess is sometimes weird like that. Because, okay, you can't capture with the bishop, then the knight falls. You have to capture with the queen, and now c4. And you're probably wondering, okay, I just go back. What's the point? I don't see the point. Well, the point is that now you can capture on f3. And now after queen captures on f3 and the rook to g2, black goes rook f6 to go rook g6 and deliver checkmate. But now you play queen b3 with tempo. You've played c4, and now you're attacking the black queen. This exact line without the inclusion of pawn to c4 doesn't work, because you're not attacking the queen, and black can just play rook g6, and it's just not going to work. So here you really would have nothing better than queen c6. Also, you have to stop queen b7, and now you can just play queen e3. And still after rook g6, rook captures on e5 check, king to f8. Now you can just play queen captures on f5 check, and you pick up the rook. So there are no threats here for black. So this was an incredibly difficult move, and even Alireza did not find it. He played pawn to a4, which is also pretty sneaky, threatening bishop to a3, and now there really is nothing better than knight captures on g1. But Nodirbek still doesn't want to play it. He goes rook f6, gets the rook out of harm's way, but now Alireza plays bishop a3 check, king to e8, and now plays pawn to d5. Okay, so now the bishop is hanging. You have to capture with the queen. Queen captures on d5. And the question is, and it's not a trick question, what do you play here? As this entire game was played in the style of the old masters, we have to continue in the spirit of the old masters. And here, the winning idea is rook a to d1, as I like to call it, the Andersen move. And while c4 is nice, it's not as brutal as rook a to d1 in this position. We have queen to c6, and here Alireza just played queen to b3, and he was in this position on move 31 that Nodirbek Yakubboev resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. I could have also made this a pause the video, as queen b3 is the only move that wins the game, but for someone of Alireza's caliber who is trying to become world champion, in his spare time, this is not a difficult find. You just take away all of the squares from the black king, and the next move, of course, you guys know what the next move is. And the thing is, now let's make a move for black, just to show you how brutal it is. Let's say knight captures on g1. Of course, just queen g8 check, and that's it. Rook to f8, queen captures on f8 will be checkmate. So you might think, okay, we're not going to capture the rook. Let's, defend against that. Let's play something like rook f8. We give up the rook, and we don't lose, maybe. No, queen to b8 with check, and after king to f7 is just another king hunt. King to g6. Now g captures on f3 can be played as it comes with check. Let's say captures. Also with check, you cannot go to h7 due to checkmate, so you have to go to h5, and now captures, let's say pawn to g5, and now even rook g3 followed by rook to h3 will be an unstoppable checkmate. Black can play something like queen captures on f3, but those are the kind of moves that we do not show on this channel. So yeah, after queen to b3, a beautiful victory for Alireza, and I mean, what a game. What an opening, what a game. Everything about this game was spectacular, and you just see how far the preparation goes. 15 moves deep, 20 moves deep, they know it all, they burn zero time, and then, once they run out of preparation, it's time to calculate. And they did burn quite a lot of time, almost all of it. So yeah, this was brutal. And as promised, here are the standings after round 7 of the FIDE Grand Swiss 2025. The leaders, Matthias Blubam and Nihal Sarin. Matthias Blubam defeated Arjun Ergaisi after Arjun blundered a piece, and then, so to cover blundering a piece, he sort of gave it up for 2 pawns. It was a pretty crazy game. I probably will show that one as well. Why wouldn't I? But yeah, only ones with 5.5 points, Matthias Blubam and Nihal Sarin. Nihal Sarin defeating the leader for 6 rounds, Parham Maksudlu, in an incredible game. With 5 points, we have Abhimanyu Mishra, the youngest world champion, Parham Maksudlu, Alireza Firouzja, now after this beautiful victory, Nodirbek Abdusatrov, Anish Giri, Hans Niemann, after his impressive victory against Yaus Khan. Then Vidit Gujarati, Pranav, Arjun Ergaisi, Shan Sargisyan, Nicolas Teodoru, also very nice game against Vincent Keimer. Pragnananda also bounces back very nicely. Vincent Keimer, Pragnananda, sorry, I have a repetition in here. Shahre Mamedyarov, Jordan Pamforest, Yanni Pomnish, Yuangi, Abhimanyu Puranik, Yaus Khan Erdomush, Marc-André Maurizi, Saleh Salem, Maxim Rothstein, Alexei Shirov, Shimon Gumularz, Edis Gurel, Mateusz Bartel, and so on and so on. And if you're wondering where the world champion is, well, world champion Gukesh tomorrow is playing on board 57, and he's facing none other than one of the 2 women participating in the tournament, also Indian Grandmaster Divya Deshmukh. And Divya has an incredible opportunity tomorrow. She can go down as the first woman in history to ever beat a reigning world champion in classical chess. She has the black pieces against Gukesh, but yeah, if there ever was a chance, tomorrow is a golden opportunity for her. She defeated Velimir Ivic today, so yeah, she has 3.5 points. Gukesh has 3 points. So if there was ever a better opportunity, I don't think there was. This is it for Divya. Let's see if she can do it. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Very nicely done by Alireza, as usual. Just throwing it out of his sleeve in spare time. I would like to thank Christian Fisher, Carmen Polifronio, Austin Wheeler, Ali Urukoglu, and Joseph McCardle for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.